It triggered an outpouring of sympathy and condemnation, but now police say that story wasn't true.
When investigators had all the evidence that they'd gathered, they looked at it, they tested it, and they came to the conclusion that the events on Friday simply didn't happen.
From alarm to false alarm. And now there's concern about what impact this may have on genuine hate crimes. Ron Charles explains.
Everyone took the schoolgirl's tale of a frightening attack on these streets very seriously. CBC News is no longer identifying her out of concern for her well-being, but here's what she described Friday.
Sadly, someone insulted me by cutting my hijab 2 times.
Media crammed into her school's library to hear from school board officials, police, and her mother.
I came to the school right away. I'm just so happy she's safe.
The story drew international attention and outrage. At a news conference on other matters, the Prime Minister expressed his concerns.
My heart goes out to the young girl who was attacked, seemingly for her religion.
Toronto police called it a hate crime and promised a thorough investigation. But by this morning, detectives had determined the girl's story was just that.
They sat down, they looked at all the evidence they had, and they reached the conclusion that what was said to have happened simply didn't happen.
In a statement today, the Prime Minister's office was thankful and relieved the attack didn't happen, but also appealed for real hate crimes to be taken extremely seriously. That's what Sabrina Ghaffar Siddiqui says she's hoping for. The hate crimes researcher warns against being distracted by this one false case.
Just because this one particular story is not real, it doesn't mean that the other stories are not real. So let's not forget that we need to still work on, anti-Islamophobia and trying to combat anti-Muslim hate.
She also worries about the young girl.
I'm very afraid of the backlash she will receive and the community will receive further, because now people are going to be angry that, she lied.
As for what happens next, police would only say the case is officially closed. Ron Charles, CBC News, Toronto.
You may be wondering, how did an incorrect story get so much uncritical coverage? It's a question many of us were discussing in the newsroom today, and it came down to a couple of things. The disturbing details of the story got our attention, and Toronto police released this information without any suggestion that they weren't confident it was true. Here's a look at how the story developed. The first notice we got of this story was just after 9:30 Friday morning, when Toronto police tweeted out that a young girl had been attacked by a man with scissors.
I believe the young girl is with officials right now.
Just before 11 o'clock, Toronto police tweeted there were 2 victims, but at 11:03 they issued a correction, stating there was only 1. By now, reporters had gathered at the school, and that prompted the Toronto District School Board to quickly organize a news conference. It started at about 10 to 1. It included the young girl describing what happened.
I felt the man, and I turned around and I saw him with his scissors, and he ran away.
By 1:20, a spokesperson for Toronto police arrived, and at this point, not only was the public being told a young girl had been the victim of what appeared to be a hate crime, but that the suspect was still at large.
It's startling, it's disturbing, it's nerve-wracking. Young kids coming to school shouldn't have to face this.
Next update on this story came 3 days later this morning,
yesterday in the
when
city's
Toronto
East End.
police said
The
it had
11-year-old
now
girl said she was
concluded the
walking to her junior
incident
public
never
school when a
happened.
man
There was
sneaked up
the
behind
little
her
girl saying
and
what
cut her
happened to her. There was
hijab
the
with a
little
pair of
boy
scissors.
who said he saw the whole thing, and then there was the mother who was
because I didn't
reacting as
feel
well.
comfortable that people are doing
Who
this.
along that line was lying?
How did you know what was going on?
I'm not going to go into specifics.
First,
What is significant is that when investigators had all
and
the
I turned
evidence that
around
they
and I
gathered,
saw
they
him
looked at it, they tested
with
it,
his scissors.
and they came to the
I'm very
conclusion
frustrated and I'm angry,
the
but
events on
I
Friday
don't,
simply didn't happen.
what?
Well, very quickly there was an
we believe
online
in
backlash
peace
against the 11-year-old girl, her
Canada.
family,
Like,
and
I'm
the
so
wider
proud to be
Muslim
a Canadian,
community.
and I want to give him the
If you look
same message.
now at
Why
the comments that are
like
some
this?
comments are being made out there.
The girl wasn't physically
people
hurt.
are using
Police
this as
are
examples,
investigating the
for instance,
incident as a hate crime.
communities
A
victimized.
Toronto man who pleaded
playing the
guilty to
victim
selling
card.
guns to
And I think
convicted
that's
killer.
really grossly unfair.
For writer and human rights advocate Amira El-Gawabi, the fact this crime wasn't real is cold comfort.
Hate crimes and hate incidents are a reality for far too many minority communities in this country. Muslim, black communities, Jewish communities, many communities unfortunately are suffering from various types of hate.
In recent years, stats suggest the Muslim community has faced more of it. In 2015, reported hate crimes against Muslims jumped 60%. In
Governments across the
2016,
world are
that rate
implementing new
was
digital
reduced, but
policies.
not by much.
Germany has recently passed a law
And
that
early in
fines social
2017,
media
one crime
companies
that
if they
targeted
fail to deal
Muslims
with fake
made
news.
headlines
And the
worldwide.
UK government has
A shooter
recently announced
who
that they'll
stormed
be
a
setting up
Quebec City
a new
mosque
unit
and
to
killed
combat
6 people.
Almost
disinformation.
every single day we're seeing some kind of fake news that is stereotyping and marginalizing our communities. And so add this one to that mix of all the types of untrue stories that are out there about our communities. I think people are feeling very beleaguered. We're feeling quite anxious.